I'm just going to start this now because why not? It's not going to leave me enough time to sit down. We have some funky lighting going on today, but there's Joe again, and there's Tony again. And we're going to get all set up and do this week's Pop with Pallas. Make sure to stay tuned for half an hour. We're going to get all the way through. There's no danger of the battery running out this time. So, okay, cool.
What song would you like first?
The first one.
Call on Me.
What's
Ryan Ryback remix.
Sure, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one that makes you happy?
I'm not sure. I don't know songs.
You can talk about it afterward then. So there's no danger of you just not getting it right. So how was biking with your son this weekend?
It was good. It wasn't Brax. It was Ethan. We only had one of our boys. Okay. Yeah. And so he is 4.5, and he's just learned to ride his bike without trainer wheels.
Oh, that's cute.
And so he's so excited, and we rode all the way from our house down to the park, and they've got this bike track there where it has stop, go signs.
Oh, I know that one.
Pedestrian crossings and things. Yeah, to teach the
brilliant.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was so excited when we got back. He was like, "Oh, we didn't even take the car." He was so excited that he rode all the way there and all the way back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
4.5, such a good age.
Yeah,
It's such a good age.
Oh, he's so excited that he can ride his bike now. So every opportunity, whenever the kids are at home, they're always like, "Can we go riding our bikes?"
Yeah. Well, that's with cars at my house.
Yeah.
Because my older son, he got his license before he left, and Carson's trying to get his license now. So I'm getting prepared for that. Since my older son just left, basically, I didn't have to worry about him taking the car all the time. But I think Carson might want the car, so there'll be a grand battle to try to.
Got about a minute.
A minute? Okay.
You can see the time.
Yes, you're right. Thank you. I can't see the time.
11
I can.
Yep.
The contacts are not failing me today. I was driving on the South Island, and they started to I felt like one of them had scratched my eye.
Oh.
Like, I've got to pull over and get some, it was just a disaster.
Are you just for one, long or short? Or?
One's distance, one's reading.
Oh, yeah, I do the same.
Yeah.
Can you feel them in there?
Yeah.
They're a pain, eh?
Yes.
I went checked out the other day about getting laser eye surgery.
Yes.
I can't get it.
Because.
Is it the cornea, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
It's too weak. And they said, you can go another option where they put lenses in your eye. And
Yeah.
I was just like, I was over it then. So.
Yeah, I know. Just keep.
Because I don't like drumming in glasses.
Yeah. Do they fog up?
Oh, yeah, sweat,
Yeah,
fog,
I imagine.
just heavy thing on my face.
I imagine.
Our intro's coming in. Interesting, but they do laser eye surgery for that, long and short people.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
$6,000.
Oh, not now.
I'm not saying I had that in the bank or anything.
Hey you! Yes, I mean you. Are you ready to make your life pop? Then welcome to Pop with Pallas. Find out how to follow your passion, discover your purpose, and express it with personality. Learn from people who figured out how to do it and are willing to share because they want your life to pop too. Welcome everyone. I am Pallas, and I am here as always with my co-host Tony William Kemp. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Did your life pop this week?
It kind of did. My muscles popped because I wasn't playing in the band or anything, but I was doing a lot of work around home and built this massive big shoe rack.
Oh, wow.
I should say my brain popped as well because it was all the mathematical measurements, working it out, and all the lifting of wood and stuff.
Nothing seems to stop you, Tony. That's amazing. And to me, that's part of what makes life pop. People who are sort of those who have the idea to do something and those who actually do something, which is a nice segue into the guest that I have joining us today. Her name is Jo Muggeridge, and her company is Strictly Savvy, which, by the way, has just won the Best Professional Services in Wellington Business Excellence Award, and that's run by the Hutt Valley Chamber of Commerce. So congratulations, Jo.
Thank you, Susan. Clap.
Yes, you deserve a clap. It was a big night for you and the girls and a couple guys.
Yes. It was a huge night, and we were so stoked this year. We've entered a few times, and the professional services category is definitely one of those competitive categories. There's accountants and lawyers and all sorts of professional services in there. So we were so stoked to have actually won.
Yes, and what's so neat is this idea behind Strictly Savvy, and I'll get you to explain it in a moment, was an idea that you had, and it was one of those ideas that we just talked about. And some might have just put it immediately in the too hard basket, but you didn't. And that's kind of why I have you on the show today, to talk with you about how you've gotten, an idea into reality and gotten past the obstacles along the way. So, well, first I should say that Joe and I met when I had just started my company, Personal Brands, the previous one to Pop, and you had started Strictly Savvy with a business partner, and I met her at a women's business networking event.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think that's when we decided, well, let's get our business partners together, and the four of us sat at a table. And I think that's a huge part of how you are able to pursue your passion and your purpose, by surrounding yourself with support and other people who are trying to do the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah. When we started our business, networking was one of the key ways that we knew we were going to actually grow our business, start our business, get clients, and get that support, like you say. That is absolutely key. You have to have that support from others around you. You cannot do it on your own.
Yeah. And yet, independence is also important. And Joe and I have also talked about background that we both have because of different circumstances. You were living on a farm. My father decided to work overseas. We both ended up going to boarding school at young ages and learned those key independent skills early on.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to boarding school when I was 11, so it was Form 1 back then. I'm not sure what that is in years now.
I think it's year 7.
Year 7, yeah. And so I was away from my parents for sometimes 3 months at a time, and at that young age we had to do all of our own washing of our mufti clothes, and we had to make sure that we were up, ready, dressed. We, showered, did everything that meant that we could go to school on time, and then, do homework and everything to get ready for bed. And yeah, we did that all on our own.
Yeah, and so that's learning responsibility. And for those listening on 106.1 FM probably know what mufti is because they're living in Wellington. But for those who are watching us on Pop with Pallas on Facebook, mufti is casual clothes.
Casual clothes, yeah,
exactly, weekend clothes. And Tony, you have kids. These skills don't necessarily get taught at home. I know mine don't take responsibility for that. And they're well beyond age 11.
Well, I'm actually learning how to pass these skills on.
Yeah.
Trying to think the best way to get them to pick up their Lego and so on.
Yeah.
But was that frightening at 11?
It was, yes.
Because
so I'll just back up. I asked to go to boarding school because I really wanted to. I had heard from someone who'd been at the school and all of the opportunities and sports that you got to play, and I love playing sport, and so I knew that I would get these opportunities to
I guess
do
it makes a
amazing
difference
stuff.
when you kind of want to do it.
Yes, yeah, I wasn't forced into it. And then it was scary, and they don't let you call your parents for the first 1 or 2 weeks, because obviously 11-year-olds, the homesick is the worst in that first 2 weeks, and so actually if you called your parents, you would be begging them to come and pick you up and crying. So they distanced us from that until we got over it, and then we could start calling our parents from then. So it was really tough.
I remember I was 13, and it wasn't my choice because my father had moved overseas and I couldn't study in Saudi Arabia. And that homesickness, I mean, it feels like you're going to die.
Yes.
Like literally you want the world to just swallow you up. And getting past that, I think, teaches you, and at a young age in your case, that pain is temporary. It goes away. And so what you think is unfathomable, what you think is absolutely insurmountable, you can with whatever you just muster from the
and
bottom
support.
up.
So your support from everyone else around you. Like we say in business, it's the same. Getting that support and surrounding yourself with other people who can help you along in that journey. Because starting a business is just like the homesick. You feel like it is so hard, and when things don't go right, you just feel like giving up often. And it's going to be hard. And so that's about surrounding yourself with people who can support you.
And not everyone can. Some people are very well-meaning, right? I don't know if you face this with your music career. That's great, but shouldn't that just be a hobby? Shouldn't that just not be, where you get your paycheck?
Yep.
Yeah. That's enough said there.
Yeah, especially if it's something that's not the norm, like if you're not setting up an accounting firm or you're going to go be a lawyer and set up a law firm. If it's something a little bit out of the ordinary, and there's a lot of those entrepreneurial online You know, businesses that weren't even a thing 20 years ago have now, you know, there's this whole industry or industries that are popping up. And so if people don't understand what it is, then they just think, oh, that just must be a hobby or not a real business. Yeah.
Well, I guess at this juncture we should say what it is exactly that
Yeah.
you do.
Everyone's probably guessing
Yes.
what the Strictly Savvy is.
Yes.
Essentially, overwhelmed and overworked business owners outsource their office functions to us. It could be everything from executive assistants, so inbox and diary management, to bookkeeping in Xero, through to creative services, graphic design, web design. Lots of things that help a business owner do a really great job of their administration, their online presence, how professional their business is.
Yeah, and that was an idea that you came up with at a juncture in your life, and we're sort of skipping way ahead here, but let's go to that.
Sure.
You had a 6-month-old baby at home.
Yes, I was an executive assistant at the Wellington Port, so Centre Port, to the supporting the CEO, and I was on maternity leave and realised that I did not want to commute to Wellington any longer, and especially not with a 6-month-old baby, or he'd be a toddler in the future, and I didn't want to have that much time away from him. So I started to try and come up with this amazing new idea, like what could I invent, what has never been done before, trying to come up with this amazing business idea, and I couldn't think of anything. And when I just stopped and thought, what do I already have or do that I could sell as a service to other people? So essentially, I started selling executive assistant services to business owners, and that's how it started.
And so many people feel like, okay, I need work, I'm going to go to Seek or Trade Me or wherever, or LinkedIn, and find the job description. I'm going to go see who wants what, instead of, hey, I have something, just like you said, and let me see where it fits. Let me create my own reality.
A job.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
And that's the difference. So, and to an extent, you've done that as well, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah. In the music realm.
Yes.
Yep.
And exactly how did that come about? When did you decide, oh, well, maybe, I'm not going to fit into this box, but I'll create another one to step into?
I don't know when it's just kind of happened along the way. Evolved, yeah, definitely.
But it's a matter of tuning in to that little voice that says, well, what if? Let's try. Maybe I could. Instead of just letting that loud, obnoxious voice of fear, as I call it, just shout it down. And not letting obstacles stop you. And so I do want to talk with you a little bit more about obstacles, but first let's take a little break for your first piece of music, which is
Call on Me by Ryan Ryback. Here we go.
Okay. That's on your video.
This is the right tune, yeah?
Yeah. Is that on one of your videos for Strictly Savvy?
This is actually a song on this coaching program in Australia, and it's
Just checking
music
in.
that they have in the background of they do this hands across the water bike ride for 500 kilometres through Thailand. Yeah, and so the program that we're on, they do that as well. They raise money, and they have their video showing like the whole bike ride with this, and it just, every time I hear it, I think of that, and I think of giving back, and I think of the ladies that I have on the course that we run as well as a side initiative. And it just evokes that emotion and helping other people.
That for me was the Roam Around the World song that I chose. I remember hearing it when I was traveling the world and studying abroad and opening my horizon and my mind, and so that's what that evokes for me, is that just roam.
And
roam
often
and see
it's
what's there.
that connection of like where you are in your life when you hear a song over and over, and
Exactly.
what you were thinking about at that time and what was happening for you.
Exactly. That's cool.
So my wife is planning on diving in the deep end next year with her own business.
In what field?
She calls it Leave It To Me, and so she ultimately wants people that, like business people or whoever, that come into Wellington and don't have time to do their washing or pick up their car or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a
And-
personal
task rabbit.
assistant.
Yeah.
Kind of concierge. But yeah,
Concierge.
anyway, concierge,
Yeah,
that's the one.
yeah.
At the moment, she looks after a couple of apartments for people,
Mhm.
so she'll go and clean it all up, organise dropping the key off.
Here's your business opportunity for anyone watching. Airbnb management and cleaning. Everyone needs that. And we were just talking yesterday about if we could find someone who could do it.
Because you're not in the same place or the same city.
Exactly. Like
But I need her to see people like yourselves,
yeah.
and
support.
she doesn't have a plan.
Well, there are a couple of organizations out there, and we met through one called Venus.
She could do my 7-step for setting up a virtual business.
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Is that have you got a card? Because I was thinking just then, shit, it might be a good Christmas present to actually get her a.
Yes.
Oh,
Tony, ding ding, that is an awesome. I hope you heard that. Helping
But
his
I think
wife.
she needs to, like, she's got a few successful people, but they're kind of family and friends, and I want her
Yeah.
to actually step way out of someone
Yeah.
that doesn't know her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you start in business. You start with your family and friends and you sell to them. Not that I could sell my executive assistant services, but I sold to people I already knew or I'd worked with before or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, see, this is how it happens, honestly. That's really neat. That is the best present.
But that's interesting what you say
Yeah.
about the
That's a
Airbnb.
niche. I think that is a niche.
Yeah. We could, combine that and do the Airbnb.
Because she's already got that down. Yeah, we're coming to you. Welcome back to Pop with Pallas. That was Call on Me by Ryan Ryback, well, his remix of the song. And the song, what is, did you pick that song
Yeah.
for any reason at all? Or?
So sometimes songs just evoke the emotion for you and that connection to something. And I've heard that song in the background of this amazing Hands Across the Water video of people traveling 500 kilometers on a bike together to raise money for kids in Thailand. And
Awesome.
I just really like how that makes me feel when I hear it.
And we need little motivators, just to keep doing what we're doing, because we talked about it, and now we're going to talk further about it. Obstacles get in our way. It might be in our own mind, our fears, our self-critique, or it could be obstacles in the real world. And one of the early obstacles that you faced was you did not stay at the boarding school. You went home and then found yourself living on your own, supporting yourself at 17 up in Hamilton. And that could have been where you stayed.
Yeah, I was partying every weekend. Our house was the party house. I was flatting, working at night at Burger King and trying to put myself through school, which I'm proud of myself that I did get all the way through to 7th form, but I'm not proud of how much little effort I put into actually getting good grades and achieving at 7th form. And I just didn't want to stay in that party zone for too much longer. So I had an opportunity to move down to Wellington, and that's where, I started to find my next career move, I suppose.
Yeah, to evolve. We used that word before.
Evolve,
But so some people might get that, well, this is not where I want to stay, but they don't find the get up and go to get out. So how did you do that?
I didn't think that I couldn't. So
Okay.
I just thought, that'll be fine. I'll just go to Wellington and I'll just get a job. Like, surely that's what people do, right?
That's normal.
A little bit naive. So I was 25 and I just had this bravado. I'll just go to Wellington and get a job.
Why Wellington?
I had actually met someone and so we wanted to be together, and so I moved. He lived in Wellington, so I moved down to be
That's
with
a
him.
motivator, always.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of your hashtag. She believed she could, so she
she
did.
did.
That's your favorite hashtag. So anyone out there might pick up on that and run with it. So you came down. You did get a job. You just walked right in and got yourself an executive.
I went to a recruitment agency. They put me forward for a job. I went along to an interview, and I didn't have any training on how to do an interview, but I feel like it's through confidence and a little bit of charm, I was myself and natural, and I met the 3 senior managers that I would be supporting, and they were really cool guys. And so I remember in the interview they were sort of like leaning back in their chairs, and they were like, oh, we're pretty casual around here. And so like I just leaned back in my chair and was like, oh, okay, so I can do this too, and just made a joke of it, and just really got on well with them. And they chose me over another lady who had a load of experience and I had none, but they could see something in me, and they could see that I was confident, and that they liked me, and they would have to work with me a lot.
Yeah.
So they chose me over that.
You also dared to be yourself. And
Yes.
so often when we're applying for that first job, or we're trying to go where the world sort of is directing us, we feel like I've got to fit into this slot.
Yeah.
I can't dare to be me. And you mentioned confidence. It takes confidence to do that. And does it go back to that independence you learned at boarding school?
Yes.
Okay.
I definitely think that my upbringing and going to boarding school, where I had to put myself out there and,
Every day.
Go to things, and there was no mum there talking on my behalf or calling people on my behalf. I had to do it all. If I wanted something, I had to do it or get it. So that definitely carried through into my later life.
And the lesson for those who don't go to boarding school is, if you feel that resistance and if you feel that fear, you just have to keep pushing past it. One
Yes.
little baby step at a time. Just keep doing it. It's the repetition that builds
Repetition, yes,
Yeah.
and thinking of what's the worst that could happen. And if I'm in a situation where I think, I'm not sure if I can do this, or like this feels really scary, I just think, what's the worst that could happen? I screw up my words and it doesn't sound that great. Or coming to a radio show like this and doing an interview, I might, stumble across on words, or,
And the world doesn't end. It's
and,
amazing.
yeah, and it's
I
not that
stumble
bad.
every week.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what's the worst that could happen, and just keep doing it over and over and over.
Yeah. And the worst, in one sense, almost did happen with your business, right?
Yes, we got into lots of financial trouble. So my business partner and I, we started the business together, and we grew so quickly. One year we went from four or five of us to 16, 17 of us. And being naive, what we hadn't anticipated or realized is that when you grow, it's actually very expensive. And we thought, we're getting all these new clients, of course we're going to have like cash flow. Everyone talks about cash flow, but it's so true. If you don't have the cash flow to then support, having to bring on new team members, our clients might not have paid us for the next 50 days of that team member doing work. And so there's actually this lead time that we hadn't anticipated. And
capital investment, buying
laptops, computers,
Yeah. So how did that end?
So we got to the point where we were under financial strain, and my business partner and I were not aligned on our values at all. We had completely different values, and we hadn't realized that that was important until it came to those pressure moments. So when we realized that, I said, look, I think we should, go our separate ways. And so I took over the company, bought the company off her, and then I couldn't actually keep it going in the state that it was. So I liquidated the whole thing and started from scratch again.
Kept the name.
Kept the name.
Yeah. And she went off to create another business, which is going strong. So so the worst wasn't that you failed, but I mean, yes, we talked about this before the show. Fail fast, fail often, fail cheap, all the different little permutations of fail. But getting past the failure, finding the way forward, even if it's having to declare liquidation or bankruptcy, as we say in the States, and then moving past. So that was critically important.
Yeah.
And now you're doing great. You just won that award. But another epiphany came, and it just happened this year. It goes back to the idea of continued support past those initial stages. And this is something that also a lot of women suffer with, is giving yourself permission not always to be doing. For me, it would be getting more clients and creating that cash flow, but actually doing something conceptual that will launch later. So if you could explain a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the business has really taken off in the last 2 years, and especially this year. The thing that I can put this down to is, one, I got even more expert help and brought someone else into the business, so my partner, who's a business coach, And so he's heavily involved in the business and supports me in the business and helps make those decisions. So seek help from experts.
Yes.
You don't have to do it all yourself. And there's a lot to know and learn in a business, so get the expert help to
pay
coach
for
you
it.
along and pay money for it, because it is
Even
the
if it-
best investment you'll make. Absolutely. And the other one,
Well, is the creativity side. You know, allowing yourself to be a creative, to sit back. You know, I remember Einstein apparently spent half of his time, you were talking about leaning back in his chair, leaning back in his chair with his feet on his desk. He said about 90% of his time was just that, spent doing that, because he was conceptualizing.
So commonly now, people judge whether you're successful or not on how busy you are, and we have made this, hey Pallas, are you busy? Or, are you busy at the moment?
Slammed,
Or,
right.
and you're like, yes, I'm so busy, and it's such a badge of honor to be like, yes, I'm so busy. But actually, being busy, doing all the time and on your computer and responding to emails is not how you're gonna grow your business and come up with new ideas and innovate and think strategically. So when and my business coach and partner helped me with this, when I realized that I was a creator and I wasn't they call it mechanic, so not the operational, monitoring things closely. I'm a creator. When I actually owned that and realized that being a creator isn't not working, because I love creating and coming up with new ideas, it doesn't feel like work. And so I used to punish myself for thinking that I could create and come up with new ideas and be strategic, and like you say, just sit back and not actually do anything other than think and come up with those ideas.
Yeah.
So when I owned that, everything changed.
And that's so huge, because so often our strengths are the things that we can do with our eyes shut, and it doesn't feel like work.
Yes.
And so we just overlook them
Yes.
and think, this can't be productive, or it can't be a strength. So,
And that would be keeping the balance.
yes.
The balance and the
Yes.
force.
Yes, exactly right. So you have now taken your company to a next level, and Joe and I have been working on videos and moving to, actually this is important for Facebook member groups, paid membership groups, where we share some of what we've learned and the skill sets, and yours would be virtual assistants, mine is leading a life that pops, and being able to find a passion and follow that passion and live a life of purpose. And so you've talked about your business, and that is your passion and has become your purpose, but your purpose isn't just creating the business. It also has been to support this group of incredible people working underneath you and others in the community.
So there's, three sort of initiatives that I have. One is my core business, which is Strictly Savvy, and I have a team of 16 of us, and we provide what's called virtual assistant services to clients.
And they're each unique individuals.
Yes, with different skill sets and personalities, and
And you've given them a place, which I think is phenomenal. Yeah.
The second initiative is that I run what's called Savvy School, and this is an online membership, like you say, in a Facebook group, and I provide a whole lot of resources, tips, advice, videos, tools, and support to women wanting to start their own virtual assistant business, or it doesn't even need to be a virtual assistant business, it just needs to be a virtual business. So I teach people how I did it, how to find clients, how to set things up, the tools and apps to use, getting through that self-doubt, and help them along that journey and learn from the mistakes that I made so they don't have to.
Support.
Support,
That's what we're talking
absolutely,
about,
And then something that I absolutely love is the third thing, which is a business administration course. And this is for sole parents who are receiving a government assistance and they're wanting to get back into work. They've had children and now, actually want to get back into their career or return to work. And so I love teaching them not just administration skills like Microsoft Office, Xero bookkeeping, personal assistant skills, but how to believe in yourself again and how to build that confidence and how to write a CV, have it look amazing, and go to an interview confident, know what questions they're going to ask, how to answer those, and actually get into work. Now, We're just in the middle of our third course now. We've got another one to go on our contract, and out of the 30 or so women that have finished the course, and one guy, we have had a guy on the course, 30 women, 9 or 10 have now got full-time roles. And these are actually amazing roles. These are executive assistants in Wellington City, they are government roles, administrators,
And I have been working behind the scenes a little bit with that too, and the graduation's coming up next week, and it's making a ripple effect in the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I am aware that we are coming up close to the end of the show here. Tony, any final thoughts?
Just keep soldiering on.
Yeah. Persistence. I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today.
And relax a little.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You need that time to relax, as you guys were saying.
Yeah. Take the pressure off.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself, but persist.
Yeah.
A long time ago in the news, I was looking at some of the journalists who rose to the top and thinking, well, they're not necessarily better than anyone else. What's the difference?
Yeah.
And that's where I figured out it was that persistence. They just kept getting better. They kept refining their skills, kept getting back up when they ran into obstacles, and they just wouldn't give up.
Yes, taking action,
Exactly. Okay, we are close. So everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop with Pallas, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Awesome sauce, as they say on MailChimp, one of my favorite tools. That was great. Thank you. And I loved your final comment, Tony. This is
Every time you ask me a question, I'm like lost for words.
No,
I'm sitting
you're
there
not.
going, shit, how am I going to answer that?
you're not.
It's almost like I don't understand it. Sorry.
No, I don't think anyone would agree with
Every
you, right?
time I think, shall I answer with that? I don't know, does that fit into it?
Just
Maybe
go with
I'm
your
not
gut.
listening.
Go with your
Worse.
gut. You've always done well. I'm sure you think so. Look, I'm going to post some links to the Savvy School, and then anyone who thinks that Tony does a great job can also post on there too. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.